everyone. My name is Alex Hunt. I'm a consultant for IBIS. My background's in implementing trade and logistics in AX09, and recently had the opportunity to attend a training session with the developers from demand forecasting who are out of New Zealand, and I'm currently helping IBIS implement demand forecasting at one of our customers. So if you aren't familiar with it, hopefully by the end of this webinar you have a good understanding of what demand forecasting could help you out with in your business. Basically, demand forecasting is another module in AX. It's fully integrated in the sense that none of the tables are stored outside of AX. It looks just like standard AX, so you don't have to relearn navigation skills or have to duplicate any functionality. Basically, it's a pretty powerful engine that looks at your sales history, and then it generates the demand based on that history, and then it works with sales orders to feed into standard AX master planning, and that's what's going to generate your purchase orders and production orders and transfer orders. The reason why people purchase demand forecasting is, like I said before, it's native to AX using X++ code. That's a pretty big deal. I've implemented some other software at other customers that has been stored outside of AX, so you have to go back and forth between the two systems, which is fine. It's just a plus if you can do it all in one area and don't have to retrain users how to use two different systems. You can just teach them on AX, and they can use that right in with their with master planning standard AX. A lot of other forecasting software will try to replace AX or try to just comment out code that you've already paid for. You've already gotten the base package, so you don't need to duplicate any of that functionality or take any of it out. And so it's a good thing that demand forecasting just funnels all of that, all of their search engines and all of their forecasting engine into what's already there in your base product. And then lastly, obviously, the accuracy of the forecasts are pretty high. The whole product was designed when some economists from Harvard met up with the adaptable group in New Zealand, and they coded formulas into this product so it could look at 5 years of base data and then come up with what's the best trend, what's the best model that you could use to show your demand for your products. There's some standard options you have. Currently, the customer that I'm speaking with right now about this product is going to use the average period with the 2-year period with the trend. You have lots of different options, and you have the ability to change these different forecasting options for a moving average, or you also have these advanced options, what they call optimized, and these 8 different models are written in the code to be kicked off when the trend reaches a certain level. So for 1 year, you might be using an exponential smoothing model, which is a popular model when you don't have a lot of data, if you have less than 2 years of data. And then as you get more and more data in the system, the system can automatically choose what the best model is, given the amount of data, given the trend, given how much information is in the system, and where your demand is going. So that's a really cool feature of demand forecasting. You don't have to fully understand each and every one of these models, but you can trust that the system can do the work for you. This is the last slide before I'll show you a little bit of what the software offers and first-hand experience. Here's your different options to adjust the forecast. You can do it based on item groups, based on a promotion, maybe a sales promotion. And then you can also adjust your demand history, and you would do that if you had some abnormal demand in 1 month. You can push it into the next so that you don't skew your trend, and so the system can more accurately generate the next month. And then lastly, you can adjust your budget. So this is what demand forecasting looks like. It's, like I said before, it's just a separate module within AX. And that under parameters, you can see that this is where I choose which forecasting formula I want the system to use, and I have it under optimized right now, so where the system will choose which model best suits the data. And then for item forecast entry, the demo data right now is for the month of April, so I can't adjust what's already been generated for April. But what I'll be doing is adjusting different demand that the system generated for the future month. And when I make adjustments, the graph in the background will adjust in real time. So I'm going to look at item 550, which is just a plastic case. And right now I can see that for May, the demand is going to be 193 units. I can see what my demand from last year was in April was 171. I can see all the way up to 5 years ago where the demand was only 85. I also have the ability of seeing what the system generated. What they suggested was 186. And I can see that someone, an employee, has already adjusted this for 7, saying that they think they're going to sell 7 more than the system generated, which would make 193. I have the option of typing right into the square and changing my forecast like that. And now it tells me that my manual forecast change is positive 14 based off the base. I can obviously put it back to where the system originally, sorry, I hit F4 instead of F5. But basically, I'll let that run in the background. You'll make these adjustments based on item-by-item basis, or you have the capability of doing it by an item group. So in the Contoso demo data, I have the option of adjusting all items in the audio group, maybe all the speakers. I'm expecting an increase in demand that the system would not have known about. I can adjust across all those items with one adjustment. The system's also going to have a separate area for you to enter your promotions. So if you don't want, if this is a promotion that's out of the ordinary, you don't want to be taken into account for next year's demand, you can just enter that promotion in a separate area, and that graph will keep up with that data separate from what the system has generated for your items. See if this is restarting. A lot of reasons why you might use a demand history adjustment is if maybe at the end of the month you ran out of stock on one item, and so sales orders aren't going to be able to be invoiced for that item until they're delivered early the next month. So you're going to have more sales in the following month than you would if you did not run out of stock. So you're going to want to make an adjustment on either month, a positive adjustment and a negative adjustment, so that you smooth out your trend for the next year. It won't take into account that abnormality of a stock out. It's coming back. And then, like I touched on before, the budget. The budget is more of a forecasting tool that you get to tinker with. You can play with, if I'm able to lower my cost by $2 on one item, what's that going to do to my margin? How is that going to help me hit my goals for the year, my bonuses? And it'll let me adjust the different quantities that are sold. If I hit a certain number of units sold in 1 year, what's that going to do to my gross profit? All those sort of things that you can just type into the system, and you can look at how the graph would move and how that would affect different things in the system. I'll get back in here. Another really cool feature about demand forecasting is that you don't have to have access to AX in order to put in your own forecast. So if you have salespeople who are out in the field, always on the road, who won't have access to AX, you can have them put their numbers into Excel spreadsheets and then upload that into AX. And so they won't ever have to touch the system, but they'll still get the capability of putting their numbers in. Sorry, I'm just going to start AX back up. So the theory behind collaborative forecasting, when you can upload your Excel spreadsheets is that people have more information when they're in the field, and so they need the opportunity to be able to upload that information to AX. Sorry about this. Just got to make sure that all the services are started. Here we go. Get back into demand forecasting. So what we were talking about before I hit F4 and crashed my system was I can physically type in a value for a month, and I can also right-click and update a forecast for any number of periods at once moving forward. I can do this based on a percentage or based on just a forecast value. So if I thought the next 3 months I might see an increase in 3%, I can type that in, hit OK. Oh, I'm sorry, I put it on value. Let me put this back in for my base, 186. Right click, update forecast. If I leave it as percentage and put it by 3%, there you go. I didn't mean to switch it from value to percentage. So leave it on percentage. I can update multiple areas, periods, forward or backward in the system. And I can use negative percentages as well. And then when it's making these changes across, it'll keep track of my manual adjust period. Promotions, which I talked about earlier. You can enter a promotion for an individual item, create a new one for the item 550 that we're looking at. Enter the warehouse and customer group and rep. And then enter what your forecast, what your promotion is going to be for 1 month. If I expect to sell 50 more units in May because of my promotion, it'll show me what I was expecting to sell for that month, and I set it to 3 right before making this promotion. So that'll bring me up to 53. And you can do it for as many months as you want in advance. And it'll show you on the graph which one is your promotion, which one is your regular forecast. And then when you go back in to your item forecast for that item 550, it'll keep track of what your promotion values are in the same area as your base forecast and your manual changes. On the same note, if you wanted to make a forecast adjustment for that item 550, warehouse 11, retail, rep 1. This will make an adjustment based on the data that came in the system. So maybe I had a stock out and had negative sales orders invoiced in 1 month and want to add those to the next. It'll show me my positive and my negative adjustment. Now, since this is from April 2010 and May 2010, when I go back in to see item 550, it actually makes the changes in this demand year 1, April and May, by positive 50 and negative 50. For budget entry, I'll scroll down to 550 again. and you can have different sales quantities and costs and prices based on warehouse. So you'll see item 550 here twice because there's one of them is in warehouse 11, one is in 21. And I can see what my expected quantity is supposed to be 166. And here's all of my values down here is my gross margin percentage. I can change these numbers. I can change the sales price. And I can raise or lower my cost. And then when I scroll back down to my item 550, it'll update my amount, my gross margin, and my gross margin percentage. So I can play around with the budget, I can play around with different items, different costs, and different sales prices. Now you also have the option of, say, making an adjustment and then putting a note in saying that quantity raised on 7/6 by AH. So you can keep track of who might have made a change or why you made a change into the system. So each square has its own note section. So when I click on my grid, I see that the note's still there, and when I click off, I have the capability of putting notes other places in the system. And then I already touched about collaborative forecasting. That's when you export and import different Excel spreadsheets into AX. I'll just show you real quick where that is. It's just as easy as hitting export and OK. You just already have a file path specified. And the template will come out looking like this. It's just a mirror image of what's already in AX. The rep would put their own numbers into the spreadsheet for their own items. They would save it and then email it back to maybe a network administrator, and then they would just click import offline spreadsheets. And the system will keep track of which versions of the spreadsheets are updated, what date they're updated, and if everyone has got their information in by the deadline in order to update your item forecast entry. But I apologize for the technical difficulty, but if you have any if you have any questions specific to this topic, you can email me at ahunt@ibis.com. And if you have any general questions, you can also get help from info@ibis.com. I appreciate your time. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties, but the point of today was just to show you a little bit of how it looked, how the interface looked for demand forecasting, and get you more familiar with the capabilities that it can do. So appreciate it. Thank you.